Hello, I'm John from IconicRC and welcome to lockdown video number 5. It's June 2020. Unfortunately, we've had to cancel most of our Iconic racing events. Lockdown is easing somewhat. We do hope to run the revival in September this year. But while we've been stuck at home and not able to attend racing events, I've taken the opportunity to go back to the old style overview videos, but with a twist, because I've been inviting a member of IconicRC onto the videos via Zoom to have a little bit of a chat about the model. These guys are much more knowledgeable than myself. It's gone really well so far. We've had four great chats, and we've got another one coming up in the video today for you. So without further ado, I better introduce you to the car, the Icon, that we're going to be talking about today. It is model 58065, Tamiya again, 1987, the Clod Buster. Instantly recognisable, beautiful monster truck from Tamiya. Now, they really pushed the boat out here. This is right in the peak of their releases in the 80s. We'd already had the Blackfoot and the Monster Beetle. Great monster trucks from Tamiya, but absolutely dwarfed by this legendary Chevy truck that Tamiya brought to us in 1987. It's huge. I think most thought this was going to be a 1/8 scale when they first heard about this, but no, it's 1/10 scale. The beautiful 1/10 scale Chevrolet ABS shell there. We've got twin motors, 2 gearboxes. The power can be switched, so the motors can be switched from parallel to serial, so you can have an economy mode or a power mode, and back then in the days of the NiCads and with these silver can motors, you know, put it on power mode and it'll probably last about half the time. The shocks, you can see there's 8 huge shocks on this beast. They're friction shocks, perfectly fine. It bounces around with these huge, lovely, squashy tyres. This is absolute awesome fun. It was brilliant. This was in 1987. They brought up the bullhead a bit after that one. I've got a bullhead, so maybe I'll do a bullhead video as well. I'm going to put this on my knee and keep talking because I'm going to whiz the body shell off to show you the chassis. This one, I was trying to work out where I got it from. It's been up in my loft for quite some time. I think this came from Toolies in Northampton. I think my good friend and famous racer from the Northampton area, Simon Mitchell, I think he spotted this in Toolies model shop. Unfortunately, that model shop's no longer there in Northampton. Told me about it. He knew I was after a Clod Buster, you know, and I'm talking about a proper vintage Clod Buster as well. So yeah, I think that's where this one came from. So where's the body off? So there it is, underneath there, you know, just typical from a late 80s build. You know, we don't know who originally owned this. I think they'd be pretty chuffed to know that it's still around. So yeah, they've yeah, there's no primer on this. They've just slapped what looks to be the box art Tamiya TS red onto that shell. It's got the original stickers. I've just given it a clean. I've got quite into the genuine vintage Tamiyas that haven't had any restoration, so they're untouched from the years back. I quite like that vintage patina so the stickers are a bit rough. The plated plastic parts are getting a little bit tarnished now, but I have done a couple of things to this to get it up into decent shape for showing on this video. So the light bar was missing. You can get a light bar. It's the chrome plated parts. The Super Clod Buster has been re-released a couple of times, so you can still get the plated silver parts trees. So I had a result there and managed to get the light bar back on to this one. I'll put that shell down. Oh, by the way, the it's very dark tinted glass. If I was going to grumble, it would have been good to have a driver figure in there. They did have one in the Subaru Brat, the Ford Ranger, the Monster Beetle, the Blackfoot. They didn't in the lunchbox, you know, the 12 scale monsters or the pumpkin. So they kind of moved a little bit away from the driver figures, but I think it'd have been nice to have one in there. But you know, that is me being really picky. Back to the chassis. I gave it a bit of a clean for this video, and also bought a new front bumper. So again, that's a Super Clod front bumper. It's exactly the same part, so that was easily obtainable. That bolts onto the front of the chassis, and yeah, it's precarious. You could probably pick it up by that and trash it. Typical Tamiya in those respects. You've got to be careful how you pick these things up. It's very heavy, so if you grab it in the wrong place, something's going to snap. So as I've already said, you've got twin motors in there and a power switch to switch them from parallel to series or back again. In the top of this one here, you've got the mechanical speed controller, the steering servo, so one steering servo with link rods, steering servo in the middle, great big long link rods to control the steering. And yeah, I will get this up and running. I've got a little bit of snapped black plastic at the back there that's knackered the rear steering, which is a good point. You've got front and rear wheel steering on this as well, for that extra maneuverability. It never seemed to be able to get it to steer, you know, have the same turning circle if you go left than you do right. It's a bit odd. I've never been able to, you know, figure that one out. Really sturdy, strong gearboxes. Lots of people hop these right up. You can put oil shocks in there. You can change all of your link and your articulation. So there was a popular set of hop-ups that would turn this into a Clodzilla. So look up Clodzilla if you've never heard of a Clodzilla. That's not Tamiya, but you will see some pictures later on in this video. I believe there's at least one Clodzilla. So have a look and pause the video at some of the action and still shots, and you will spot some hop-ups. What I've done in this video is I've asked IconicRC members for photos of their Clods. A few did send in Super Clod Buster photos. They're very similar vehicles, so I've put those in so you can spot a Super Clod, because the red parts here are blue. You'll see some yellow parts. They're likely to be bullhead chassis, or the people have just bought the yellow parts trees. So you'll see some variations, but on what I'm showing you here with the red parts is an absolute box standard Tamiya Clod Buster from 1987. Now that brings me on to the Chevrolet twist. So the very first batches of Clod Busters that were released were Chevrolet Clod Busters. So if I hold that up there, I'm hoping the old green screen might start going a bit wrong, but you should be able to see the Chevrolet bow tie on that grille. At the rear decal there, you can see it says Chevrolet, and on the rear, printed into that rear ABS plastic part, it reads Chevrolet. Now, not too long after it was released, all the Chevrolet detailings were dropped. So the bow tie was lost from the grille. The Chevrolet disappeared off of the sticker set, and this rear door lost that embossed Chevrolet logo. So no one really knows what happened, but there must have been a little bit of a kerfuffle. Needless to say, the Chevrolet Clod Busters are the collectible, the most desirable vintage clods. If you can get one with the bow tie, with the Chevrolet there, and on that rear door, then you've got yourself a one of the earliest Tamiya Clod Busters. What can I tell you about? So this is the white parts tree. Again, easily obtainable because of the Super Clod Buster, and yeah, just to point out, you know, no Chevrolet on there. And with the Super Clod, you can see a lovely 4x4x4 on that front grille. So that will fit onto that ABS body, but that's your Super Clod. And if you've got nothing on there at all, that was if you like, the second batch of non-Chevrolet original Clod Busters. Magazine, radio controlled model cars, monthly, from January 1988, and there's a lovely shot of the Clod Buster there. So January 1988, the Clod Buster was reviewed. This is my magazine. I was a bit precious about these. It says in pencil Western on the back, so newsagents reserved that for me each month. I still got the badge. Now I brag, this was a freebie on the front of that magazine. I was bragging on Facebook that I still got the magazine with the badge attached, and then I managed to knock it off, and there's no sticky left on there at all. So there's a Model Cars monthly badge there. Used to get free stickers some months as well, and yeah, in there you've got the lovely Chevrolet Clod Buster reviewed. Lovely little review, lovely little write-up. If you're into these old magazines, you still see these on eBay. Yeah, this was big news. There's no two ways about it. When this was released, you know, you went into the model shops and the box was absolutely massive. So if you're after a monster truck, and you're onto your parents or whatever, I think if you ended up with a Clod, they weren't the cheapest. You know, the lunchbox was the cheapest, but if you ended up coming home with a Clod Buster, you were very, very lucky person. So yeah, the Clod. I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to show you a Zoom video that I had with Steve Park. Now Steve is from Leicester. He's same age as me. He's been on the same journey as me, in that he had his first RC cars in the 80s. I think his first one was a Tamiya Wild Willie. He's into Clods, and he's offered to chat a little bit about his Clod Buster collection. And we also had a good little natter about back in the day and model shops and where we used to go and that sort of thing. I'm really pleased I managed to hook up with Steve, because Steve offered about 6 years ago to do some of these review videos with me, you know, because we live quite near to each other. But he kind of offered just as I'd stopped doing them. So I'm really pleased that I managed to have a great chat with Steve. I'm going to play that to you now, and then straight afterwards we'll look at a little bit of Clod action and some photos. So here's Steve Park. Steve Park, we finally meet. Yeah,
we've got a few chats. Yeah.
I mean, Steve, I reckon about 6 years ago, I think you contacted me because you're Leicester, I'm Leicester. Well, you know, in that county, and you contacted me because you'd seen the Iconic videos, and I think you want to know where that BMX track was, and you offered your services. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And I said, okay, I'll let you know. And then I didn't do another video. I just I got into the doing the events and something had to give. So those brilliant. I just had such a brilliant time at that BMX track with Justin, who's obviously also Leicester as well. Justin went off to do his model railways, and I went off to do my events, and it all stopped. But finally, I've got you on an Iconic RC video. So thank you.
You're welcome, man. No problem.
All right. So I think we're of a similar age, and you know, in the 80s, just like most of the rest of us, we were just I don't know, we were blessed with all these amazing models and manufacturers.
Yeah.
I think it's Tamiya for you, though. Yeah, Tamiya that did it for you.
Yeah, when I first started, my very first model that my mum and dad bought me was a Tamiya Wild Willie, and I was just, if you could ever see a young boy almost cry, I'd lost it nearly. My dad had to sit down and build that immediately with me. So from then on, pretty much Tamiya was were my mainstays, and just sort of slowly working through the kits I could get and I could afford or save money up for. And just they're just such a joy to build. You know, nowadays, and you probably see them when I sort of pan around. I've got a lot of 5th scale, big 4x4 trucks and so on, but the Tamiyas are still a staple. And probably up to 6-7 months ago, I had probably another 8 or 9 Tamiyas, you know, going from various 4-wheel drives and fun buggies and so on. But I sort of switched around. I've kept the staples, the Clod Buster and the Wild Willie back over there. And I'm always sort of tinkering and getting another 1 or 2 in. I've sold a few of them as well. I did have a couple of holiday buggies.
I saw those. You were posting those up. The new ones, the re-released DTO2.
Yeah, and they're just such lovely buggers. I always enjoy, it's a bit of a 50-50, I always enjoy the building process and the sort of making it look unique almost as much as driving them, because I you know, now, as you probably know, with family and stuff, you don't quite get as much time as you'd like. And the building, at least that way, it takes you away. It's never a chore, you know. I especially when I was younger, I would walk into a room and not come out until the kit was built. I have to get days, not eat, you know. So I start going a 5 o'clock shadow. So yeah,
it's special. I know what you mean. I love the whole building as well. I really do. It's a special time. Even now, it was when we were kids, but even now, it's kind of just the same. I think you probably came back to it like I did. Yeah. You know, a big sort of hiatus. Steve, did you ever, just out of interest, before we start talking about the Clod Buster, did you ever race, or did you just, you know, build and bash? And
yeah, I did do a bit of racing with some of my I did have a few nitros and some of my Tamiyas, and this was back, let's have a look. They didn't really have much going on in Leicester at the time, but there was a place in, is it Burton Trent, and it used to be an old power station, if memory serves me right, and they had a track on there, and there was a model shop in Burton-on-Trent where I bought some of my models from, you know, when I sort of saved up some of my money from working, and they had a track there, and we'd go there on a Sunday when it was, you know, when I had a bit of time, I'd take a drive there, mess about, do some racing, come back to Leicester. But I've not done it for years, and the plan was the reason I've sort of kept some of my favourite ones is, you know, obviously when we're back up and running again and on the track, is to come down to one of the events, the Clod Buster ones or the wheelie event, and, you know, have a knockabout with the guys and sort of see you in person as well. So yeah, it's on the plan.
I would say my advice to you is it's a bit of a trek up the A46, but not too far actually, to Bingham, where we're doing a revival. Hopefully, you know, fingers crossed, we're going to do the revival this year. But honestly, mate, up the A46, and just come and see it, and I reckon you'll be hooked, and you will definitely start doing it. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, we've got family up to 46. So I'm up there to Nottingham and Lincoln all the time, so it's a lovely drive. So I wouldn't mind it at all. Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally, you know, just trying to like reel you in. It's literally just off the there's a Silverdale, I think it is. No, it's not. What's it? It's the name of I don't know. It's Bingham. Yeah, the Bingham turn off.
Yeah, I've been past it playing it because it's sort of, you come off an incline and then there's a roundabout, I believe, and then you turn off there. Anyway, I'll try and carry on convincing you to do that separately. Steve, I just posted this magazine up on Iconic, yeah? Yes, sir. Yeah.
And I was bragging because I'd preserved the badge on the front. Yeah, I put a post up on Iconic bragging that, you know, from January 1988, I still had it preserved. And I've just taken this out to show you, and I've knocked the badge off. Can't believe it. I did the brag. I mean, anyway, yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. You're doing well. Keeping that.
But you said you've got this magazine as well, yeah?
I've got that one. I did. I was trying to look for it because that pretty much had me hooked. When I saw the back of that on that magazine, I'm like, if I've got to work 7 days a week, I'm going to make it happen. Yeah, because I love it. So the one I have, because I couldn't find that one in the quick looking up, and hopefully it will come through to you. So this one is the, I'm not sure what year this one is here, but it's one of those Tamiya ones that has all the kits in, the die cast and everything.
Yeah, the whole lot. Yeah.
Yeah, full set. And then down, hopefully you can see it.
Down there's the Clod.
Yeah, the Clod. So that was one of them. And then also with another one I have, they had the Clod Buster review in there. So
what's that one? Radio race car then?
That is, it's a shame because I'm sure there's not even a front page on this one. I think it is, radio race car, Jan 1988.
Yeah, so this one, there was two magazines, big magazines in the UK. Yes. The one you've got there and this one, both Jan 88, and the lucky reviewers got their hands all over this pretty, you know, all new groundbreaking Tamiya, and it's number 65 that they released.
Oh, right.
And it was saying in the review that when they first got wind of this, they thought Tamiya were releasing their first big 1/8 model.
Right, yes.
Came out, it was obviously a 1/10, and they just put those huge, massive wheels on it, and you've got this Clod Buster, which kind of like, you know, dwarfed the Blackfoot and the Monster Beetle and all of those. So a real special release. Did you have one? Did you literally get one that year then, or a bit later on?
It was a good bit later on. I recall, sort of at that stage, I still had a few. I had the Wild Willie, the Super Sabre, the Falcon. You know, those kind of ones were a bit cheaper, a bit more affordable. And then I did save up, and I had my big boy pants on that day, so I went to London, went to a model shop, bought the Clod Buster model, and then came back on the train.
Oh,
and then
buried in box.
Yeah, it's a huge box. I didn't quite plan that out properly. And bearing in mind that, as my wife will contest to, my sense of direction is horrendous. So I'm surprised I made it even to London.
Wow.
But yeah, came back with it, built it up, loved it, kept it pretty much box start standard, color-wise and so on. And then I'd sold that one, and then that was sort of coming up towards that hiatus period, where I hadn't had a bit of a break. And it was always one of those kits where, because it was a bit more expensive than your standard day-to-day ones, it took a lot of saving up for. So there's that break, and then the two that I have here, I'll show you that. One I bought stock, which is the 1987? They first came, or 19?
Yeah, it's got 87. It's the official year, but we started seeing them, I think, in Jan 88, just right, December to January.
Yes, that's the one. So that was the one I bought, and I theoretically I bought it for my son, which I knew I'd end up looking after. And I'd done that one up, and I sort of I guess it's like a ground up restoration, everything stripped down, rebuilt back up again.
Yeah.
Joy to do, and did it in like a Ford. I think it was a Ford purple. You see a few of these Ford cars in this kind of same purpley color. So that was a good one. And then the second one I had, which is a super Clod Buster. I had the kit sent to me again in pieces because somebody had bought it and just not carried on with the idea of building it. And unfortunately, my dad passed away right around that time. So then I decided to build it in memory of my dad. So both of these are really special cars, which is why I've kept them, these Clod Busters. And it was at that stage because I was old, pretty much old, so I could afford to get them myself, really. So it was nice because, as a child, it's a lot of asking mum and dad for money and a lot of, paper rounds and so on.
Yeah, just like anyway, we've got a lot to thank our parents for, haven't we?
Yes. Oh, man, it's such a great hobby because I think they loved it and they tolerated me doing it. And literally every week, we had a model shop in an area of Leicester called Melton Road. Now they sell suitcases. It's a shop still there, and they sell suitcases there.
Can you remember what it was called, Steve? The shop?
Oh, I wish I could. I can show you. I
was going to ask you, can you remember what the shop in London was called? Because, me and nostalgia, I love this sort of thing. Can you remember where you went to in London?
Oh gosh, I can't. I know it was a big shop. It wasn't one of these sort of ones that had a little model. It had a juicy size model section. I'll have to have a look because I wouldn't be surprised if I still had a receipt somewhere.
Yeah, cool.
So I'll have a check for that. The one in Leicester, I can't remember. I know the location.
Yeah, I know.
And I was quite lucky. Yeah, on Melton Road, just beginning of Melton Road. And I used to come in. Actually, John, I used to come in and bother them so much that they offered me a part-time job there.
Oh, brilliant.
Which I love because I got to see these models and, things like the Super Sabre and all those kind of things and the Super Hot Shot and all that sort of stuff and get to play with them. And they also let me take some of the kits because obviously they like to display the kits. I was able to take some home and build them up for them and then take them.
Dream job.
Yeah.
I had mates like that managed to get themselves gigs at model shops where I was kind of down in Essex. I was born and bred in Essex. So there's a couple of model shops dotted around, and our friends that managed to get themselves a model shop jobs, very envious. Yeah. Very envious, like dream job. Let's see him then, Steve. Let's see your.
All right, so I'm doing the old camera tilt here, so I'm hoping you can get them in. It's harder to see. Yeah. So that's the one that was my son's. It's my son's old school one.
Yeah, that's Chevy as well, Steve. Yeah, I can see the bow tie.
Exactly. Yeah, the official Chevy on that one. So, and that's the bit they changed once they did the re-release. And then we've got the period remote control.
Well, that really is that one. Yeah,
that is old school. I mean, that's and probably these younger cats won't even remember having to use bands now, like a yellow band on there.
Yeah.
And with the traditional stickers on there as well,
right.
Period stickers. And then this is, if I had to say one, this is probably my favourite, which is my dad's, the one I built in memory of my dad, in gunmetal grey, which is my favourite colour. But yeah, you can see the detailing change. They didn't have the sponsorship from Chevy.
Yeah, correct. I don't know myself too much about the Super Clod, but they do look very, very similar. I don't know. Do you know, is there much difference between them both?
No, to be honest, John, the only difference that you have with them is the plastic colouring is different. So on the old school one, you've got red. On the Clod, on the Super Clod, it's blue.
Right.
And the only real difference is obviously that they lost the sponsorship with Chevy or the rights with Chevy. So it's exactly the same build, just without the Chevy logo on there. It has electronic speed controller in there. So rather than your old school, old school mechanical speed controller, underneath it's got the electronic speed controller. And that's about it. Bar that, it's still got, both of them still got the 540 motors in there, parallel switches, and serial switch. Very similar.
Do you run them?
Yeah, the last time I had them out was probably a year ago, sort of knocking around in the garden with the dogs, really. Get the dogs a bit of a run around in the back garden.
Yeah.
So it's been a while, and I try to, when they're not being run, I keep them up on a shelf and, keep wheels off the ground so there's no flat spots on the wheel. But I do love running them. And I'm going to try once we get some meetings sorted out with yourselves, have them down for some of the races, because, they're lovely. but they're just too much fun to sit around looking pretty. So I like to run them, give them a good clean up afterwards.
I would say, yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've seen any of the monster truck races that we do at the Revival.
Yes.
You'd need to be brave to enter into that, because we put the old body shells down and do it.
Yes, yes.
And the clods. We always have, Blackfoot's monster beetles and a couple of clods, and the clods just destroy everything.
Yeah.
But they do take a bit of a beating themselves. They're fairly tough, aren't they? I think the steering is a bit fragile on these, but I know there's plenty of hop ups that you can get. Yeah. But yeah, we'd love to see you at the monster truck race at the Revival. But yeah, they'll get a bit battered. Yeah.
It'll just give me a good excuse to get another one. So it's
well, true.
Yeah.
Take your lads. Don't take the Super Clod. Take your lads one.
Yeah. Well, that is the class, and it's probably got about 60 layers of lacquer on there, so it's well protected, I think.
Right.
But yeah, I must admit, I found, as you mentioned, on the steering's a fragile part, because even with one of them, I moved it in the house. I literally took it down from one shelf, moved it to another, and I thought, oh, the front wheel's a bit wobbly, but the back's nice and solid. And I'd snapped the sort of steering arm at the front, right down at the front of it.
Yeah.
And then to get that, when I looked, you needed to get a whole tree of like the gearbox.
Yeah, that's Tamiya. Yeah.
That's a classic move. So we had to get a whole set of the gear, which is not a bad thing, just for that little tree part. And that's it. So it is very fragile to that degree. But as you say, there's lots of hot.
Steve, I bought a bullhead at one of our meets off mate. I bought a bullhead, which is just exactly the same chassis. But just a different body, released around the same sort of time. I bought a bullhead, and you pick the things up wrong because they're so heavy. And I picked it up. I thought, I just bought this. Snap. Oh my God.
Heartbreaking.
That's Tamiya's. That is Tamiya's for you, though. Sometimes you just need to look at them, and something will break.
Yeah. Not normally a classic part where you need to get 7 different trees in to get the one that you need, sort of thing. But yeah, they are such a joy, because I don't think I've had a model that I enjoy building as much. That gets me that absorbed, where I can just lose a day, sort of thing. Yeah. So yeah, they are lovely.
Yeah, they are. I'm a big fan as well. I've got a Clod. I'll go and show off my Clod in the main video. It's a Chevy one. It is a bit battered though. Right. I do need to take it out. They're just so much fun bouncing around with those big wheels. I took one to the beach as well. And so it was like the sand was damp, so it's like compacted sand where the tide had gone out. And that was awesome. And then I was running that through sort of shallow seawater like that. Some people would be like, you can't do that, but it's fun, so we will. So I was running it through kind of shallow water with those big wheels. It's just so much fun.
Yeah.
But obviously with seawater, you need to chuck a bottle of Evian over it straight away afterwards. Yeah. Huge fun with the Clod Busters. Steve, you mentioned you've got some 1/5. You must have a lot of room where you are then.
Well, the room I'm talking to you from is on our top floor, and it's our snug room where we've got the TV and
the snug room, or is it your playroom basically?
That's exactly it. Theoretically, if my wife hears me, it's a snug. Between me, you, and everyone else, it's like the hobby building room at the moment. So yeah, at the moment in here, there's 3 5th scales, the Wild Willie up on the corner, and then there's in the gym stroke garage, there's another petrol 5th scale in there. So right. Yeah, I think with these ham hocks, I've kind of gone big with the models just because they're a bit easier to work on.
Do you find, we're in unprecedented times at the moment, but it seems to be a healthy time for the online retailers. So not the racing, not the clubs, unfortunately, but there's a lot of guys and girls, I should say, and children as well, that are at home and taking advantage of the extra time to build cars. Have you found that you've got a bit more time yourself at the minute to play a little bit more with the hobby?
Yeah, it's been lovely because normally it's sort of trying to squeeze a bit of time in at the weekend when you're at home and things are settled and, you know, there's that routine. But now I've been managing to get some time, probably each day, to maybe nip up for an hour, have a bit of a tinker, even if it's just, you know, rebuilding some shocks or, you know, putting a bit of heat shrink around some parts, a little job. I even managed to change the engine in one of my in my fifth scale petrol to a more powerful engine.
Right.
And if you'd asked me if I'd had the chance to do that sort of 3 or 4 months ago, I'd be like, yeah, I could do it, but it's going to be like a 3 month job, you know, just little bits at a time.
Where do you take those big things, Steve? Do you have to? Is it like?
Yeah, we have a few bits because we're in Syston, so we're on that right sort of side to the 46. So we're sort of towards the countryside. So there's quite a few parks where I can take it to and give it a run without disturbing anyone, because as you know, they are some loud beasts.
Yeah.
And then with things such as the Clod Buster and the Wildwood, I can knock them around the garden or run them up our sort of driveway, sort of in a cul-de-sac, and you normally get the kids sticking their heads out the window.
Cul-de-sacs are great for Tamiyas, aren't they? Yeah. When I was a lad, we'd go to the lad that lived in a cul-de-sac, so we could run our cars kind of like on the road, fairly much undisturbed, and, until the inevitable, you hit a curb, and then it's parts tree. Again, yes, isn't it? And all of that. great memories of that, and you're still being able to relive that a little bit as well. I just want to quickly ask you about you're a personal trainer.
Yeah.
So again, because of the situation we're in, you're kind of doing that virtually with videos now. Is that how you're managing to do your business? I'll put a link up. It's called Park Core. Yeah.
That's the one. Yes. Yeah.
So wellness as well. It's not just personal training, to get yourself built up. It's all tied in with wellness and mental health as well.
Yeah, we tried to do it on a full scale. So obviously there's a part of sort of building yourself up physically and, being fit and healthy and so on physically. But a big aspect of it was and still is looking after the mental health of people, especially now, because everyone's at the very least a bit jarred of what's happening. No one knows quite when things are going to go back to normal. So I'll probably defy anybody to be, fully 100% mentally where they were before.
I know exactly what you mean. It's difficult time. Yeah,
it is. And especially if you've got kids of all ages, they normally rely on us to have the answers one way or the other, and we can't give them the answers. So they're as anxious as anyone. They probably show it a different way, and it's probably displayed or kept hidden in a different way.
Yeah.
But they have their anxiety about when they're going to go back to school, when they're going to see their friends again, and so on. So we do a lot of work with CBT and NLP, which is sort of looking at how the mind works and handles anxiety, and putting together techniques and methods to be able to handle anxiety, or at the very least catch yourself nice and early. So when you get that anxious feeling coming up, you can catch yourself and think, okay, let's bring it down. Yeah.
No, interesting. We've got a young daughter, and she, a 3-year-old, our youngest, and I know she's got a lot of questions, and needs a lot of attention as well. So yeah, it's interesting dynamics, interesting times. But people like you, I would say, especially the guys out there, that dads, they probably should try and open up a little bit more. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? I think that the chaps tend to bottle things up, don't they? A bit.
Yeah, I'm classic for them. I know when my dad passed away about 5 years ago now, and I kept everything in because we had my mum to look after. She was poorly, so you sort of step into that dad role. So you're looking after the immediate family plus your mum and your mum at the stage, and I kept everything bottled up, and I tended to react immediately. So whereas if you'd ask me a question, I'd be like, let me think about it. Everything was like, no, can't do it. It's too much. And I just went the other way. There was no sort of easing into it. You couldn't. And then she suggested, look, Steve, you're not the same. You need to do some CBT, or get some CBT counselling. And that's been a real help to me, just to be able to sort of process things and think things through better. So even if people just look at aspects such as that, whether that's for me or anyone else, it's a huge benefit because it doesn't change everything, but it just helps you catch things earlier. So you think, okay, well, my instincts to say no, but let me have a few days and mull it over. Normally by then you kind of ease into it. Oh, it's not so bad. Yeah, okay, we'll give it a try. Whereas before you just snap and be like, no, I'm not doing it. It's crazy. It's too much effort. So yeah, and especially with guys that they, you know, like you say, and with myself still, I tend to hold it in. But yeah, getting little techniques like walking meditation or even building the models. You know, I'm at my happiest with these bad boys. Working on them. You lock me away for 2 hours with this. I'll come out a happy person.
Yeah. I'm like that. I mean, so I want to talk about this. I think it's important. I'm thinking about the demographic. I'm thinking about the average person that will probably be watching this video on YouTube. I guess we get all sorts of viewers, but the real core are gentlemen of our age.
Yeah.
It is difficult times. I'm hoping people, you know, that the hobby can help everyone while they're in this lockdown. I think it's really interesting, you know, what you've just said. I've put the website up. It's parkcore.com, and I wish you well with that, Steve. And I really desperately want to see you at an Iconic event when we can start doing all this again. So I just want to say thank you very much for your time on Sunday, and we'll catch up again soon.
Definitely, pleasure to talk and catch up to you face to face.
Yes, yeah. Cheers, mate. Okay, so that was Steve Park, brilliant chat, and followed by some photos of his Clod Busters, and then some photos of my Clod Buster, the one I've been showing you in this video, and also another one that was the non-Chevy model that I had a bit back as well. What I'm going to do now is show you some action shots from some of the revival events and IconicRC meets. So I've been scouring the archives and found some nice action shots of Clod Busters. I will also show you some photos that the IconicRC members have sent in as well, and a reminder that there's a couple of super clods in there, and look out for Clodzillas and all the nice little hop-ups that you can get. So let's have a look at those. Okay then, so that was my overview of one of the absolute classic Tamiyas, one of the most awesome RC monster trucks of all time, probably #1 if there was going to be an all-time chart. It's the Tamiya Clod Buster. I hope you've enjoyed this latest IconicRC video, and I want to wish all of you and your families all the best, and stay tuned for the next one. Cheers!